Well, we finally done it. We got there. You know what happens? These things do their updates and then everything goes crazy. So,
Well, it would be a first if we got kicked off before we did the video that got us kicked off, Mike,
yeah, yeah.
So I'm just glad that you are more techie than I am, because if I was trying to run this ship, we'd be down on the bottom of the reef by now, I
Well,
tell
I
you.
tell you, these celebrity ghost stories that got us banned for copyright issues. I mean, the whole thing is crazy. Why put the damn things up on YouTube in the first place? Uh, well, I think they're interesting and people can relate to them.
Yeah.
So I've actually been posting them on Dr. Linda Kramer Paranormal direct from YouTube. So at least people can.
Well, okay. This is where I don't really want to talk about a certain person, but I'm going to go there without mentioning their name,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
When we video or share someone else's work, we don't get paid for it, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So if somebody wants to go and watch the full excerpt or whatever, they can go to that site and find it themselves, right?
Yeah.
But when I had my troll about 2 months ago, what he was doing, he was actually filming my videos and sitting in front of the screen talking about what I was talking about.
Right.
So then he was monetizing it.
Yeah, that's naughty.
The big difference. That's very naughty, you know. So of course he got reported for that, not just by me but other people. But so what the story is with these videos that we watch, I don't understand why they don't want us to share it. Yeah. Because ultimately people that want to know more will go back to that site and then watch it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's not like we defame, character assassinate, what else? Bullying, harassment.
It just is what it is.
There's none of that my troll was doing, So, we are always respectful and kind about everything. I don't even think once in the year and a half now that we've been doing this show that we've ever said, no, don't like that.
Yeah, and
we're always kind and
we've never had a complaint from anyone about us putting up their work or from these other organisations, because they fully understand that they're getting the publicity and we're not altering what they're saying in any way. So.
And look at the comments that we get, like Tanya Aarons. Hello, Tanya. Thank you so much for viewing us tonight. But we don't even get comments while we're doing our show. Oh, you shouldn't be doing that, or oh, that's degrading, or anything like that. Because you and I, Mike, we're on the same team of lifting everybody up, being respectful, kind, and loving. And now to get off that topic and turn it into what's happening on the globe, it really is getting apparent now that true colours are coming out. I've been saying that for the past year or 2 years now, nearly is. But, nasty people are now coming out of the closet to be nasty. They love to hate. Oh, and I don't like that HAT word. I don't like saying it because I don't abide by what it represents. Sure. So then on the other hand, you've got lovely, kind, generous, respectful people
like me
who are going... And you wonder why I talk to you every week, Mike. You wonder why I invest my time with you every week. Because you are. And I'll give you that compliment and that ego boost because you well deserve it. But there's a lot of people all over the planet now who are coming out being kinder. They're being more generous. They're being more thoughtful. They're being more intrigued to know what this big sham is all about now. And they're not holding animosities. They're not holding a grudge to what's going on because they're genuine, good people, and their true colours are coming out, So it is a great divide at this point, Look at your friends, guys. Anyone watching us, look at your friends and your relatives. Are they bickering and whinging about people? Because that's their true colours.
Remind me again, what is a friend and what is family? Kind of forgotten.
Well, I'm going to say this, okay, Mike? But I've got to be
I'm in a very
politically
cheeky
correct.
mood today, actually.
Okay, all right. So this is where, well, I'm just going to go there because I'm in a little bit of a mood myself. I'm not going to say it's a friend and I'm not going to say it's a family member, okay? But I have been attacked
Yeah.
by two people who have said to me, Linda, everything you talk about isn't true. You didn't die. You didn't go to heaven.
Dun, dun,
Hello.
dun.
I've got the medical files that prove that I died,
Yeah.
but they're still denying it.
Yeah.
You know, one of these people actually spent 4 hours on a birthday attacking me.
You're very popular. And as my wife said, as she always says, if you are not getting attacked, then you're not doing your job properly.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's a friend and I'm not saying it's a family. It could be my neighbour. Okay? Yeah. But isn't it funny how true colours are coming out?
Yeah.
You know, I just sit, and you know, what I love doing, Mike, is I sit back and I analyse what people say.
Yeah.
You know, that's you know, it's a curse. It's not a gift. It's a curse of mine because I've studied psychology. I've studied behaviouralisms, you know, doing criminal psychology type stuff with the police, which I can't really talk about. But, oops, spoiler alert. But, you know, I just sit back and I watch the behaviours and I watch what people say.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I think, is this personally at me or does this person have an issue?
Yeah.
And it's more than 9 out of 10. So I'll go 98 out of 100. It's the issue is with that person.
It's never anything to do with us. Whatever anyone says about you is always to do with them. But you know, Linda, you was talking about true colours. The channel told me in a message that I channeled was we're in a period of time where the truth can only be spoken now. So it'll either slip out or it'll be said. And we can see this. And actually, I made a post on your Facebook page about we are now in the courage frequency, which is the beginning of 4D. And it said that 15% of the population. Well, in our weekly table tipping session, I asked that question and Joan said, no, it's more 60%. So we are actually approaching critical mass. And on that note, before we get started, I've just started a new table tipping Facebook page. And every week I'm just going to do a little table tipping session with questions that Spirit has asked me to ask through the table so people can get a look at what's going on.
Good man. Good man. We'll share the link, write it as a comment or, you know, cut and paste it because I'd love to join that group too, darling, you know. You know, because, you know, I got a new member in my paranormal group today, Dr. Linda Kramer Paranormal, and she said, I'm a new member, thank you for having me type thing. And I wrote down there and I wrote as a reply, I said, please know this is where you are safe.
Yeah.
So she feels comfortable and thank you so much for joining. But I said, please know that this is a group where we like to share all our products, our websites, everything that you do. So, you know, because look how many people now in spiritual services especially, we're not making money. And because there's a lot of people who gave up their 9-to-5 job and they think, oh, I'm just going to start doing tarot cards. Because they're not doing it for the right reasons. You know, they need it for the money, not for what they're doing. So, you know, I love promoting people myself, you know, and that's a beauty of me, you know. So if you do share the link, Mike, I will definitely, you know, even do a YouTube video on my channel where I talk about it. And if you give me permission to show one of your videos on the screen, then I can say, hey, go and have a look at Mike. You know, the link's in the description below. So then people come across as well and have a look at check you out what you do. You know, because I know your situation in Austria, you know, and it is not nice what they're doing to you over there. You know, I thought Australia was
This may be my last broadcast before I broadcast from jail.
Now, we're not talking Facebook jail
We're
there, guys.
talking real jail.
We are talking balls and chain type. That as long as I don't put you into solitary confinement.
I
Oh my
would I
God!
would want solitary confinement. I would welcome it. Bit of bloody peace.
Wow.
Um,
But I'm getting told that it's not going to come to that, Mike,
no,
because
no,
these
no.
fines that they're trying to impose on you guys
Yeah.
who don't want to have that medical procedure, it's not going to happen. And if you are not familiar with what they're doing in Austria, I don't mind if
I refer
you
you back to
elaborate, Mike.
1948 if you're not familiar what we're doing in Austria.
Yeah, well, they're about to fine everybody who hasn't had a medical procedure, and it's not cheap. So, they're threatening, if you don't get it, you're going to jail. Like it's going to, because you guys are only at about 70% here. So that's 3 out of 10
Yeah.
who they're going to fine.
Yeah.
Where are they going to send you all to?
Yeah.
Where are they going to send you all to?
We'll be having
Seriously.
the old Hillary Clinton clip around the leg.
Yeah,
House arrest.
but I'm seriously like 3 out of 10 haven't had
Yeah.
it. So where are they going to throw them all to?
It actually,
it's all bark.
it actually won't
and it's all bark.
come to this. Lawyers have been working on this, and we've got papers to present if ever we get stopped. And it's take too much time to explain everything, but they are trying to scare the bejesus out of people. So
well, and you've got to remember, every country has signed contracts with Pfizer. Every country has. Size of the
ties of the surpriser.
Yeah, so every country has, and it's now apparent that the figure was 90%.
Yeah.
So, because once, a country gets to 90%, they're all laxing off on all their mandates. So, we now know what the magic figure is, but because you guys are only at 70%, that's why they're really hammering hard now with that big bark of, if you don't do this, we're going to do this, which is classic workplace bullying and harassment, discrimination, segregation. It's a breach of human rights. It's a breach of Nuremberg codes. It's a breach of everything.
It's a breach
so
of
how the
human
heck are
decency.
they getting away with it?
Well, they're not. That's the thing.
That's right, darling.
Well, I'll tell you what. We've got
to get out of this.
We better get on with the show, so to speak. And we got some good stuff here. But let's start with Caterina and see
beautiful
what
girl
stuff that she's got.
Yeehaw!
Here we go.
Bring her on.
Hi, my curious friends. My name is Caterina Campagna, and I'm here this week to bring you the Open Door News segment. The news that makes you go, ah! Brr. Or simply, what the? I can't believe. No. Here we are. Now, let's start off this segment this week with a piece of Americana haunting. It is known as Dudleytown. It is in near Cornwall, Connecticut, where the settlers of the surname Dudley, coming from England, were said to be cursed, specifically Edmund, because he placed an assassination attempt on King Henry VII. He was beheaded for that, but his family came to Connecticut and forged this community near Cornwall, and their land had perpetual problems, it is reported, such as people going insane and reporting demons. Now, the man, Dr. Clark, came over and took over the land in the 1940s after it had already begun being abandoned after the Civil War. But this proved to be a tragic mistake for him. His wife later killed herself after reporting that she saw scary beasts that spoke to her in the forest. He later remarried, and they formed the Dark Entry Forest Association, where they have now closed off Dudley to all trespassers and keep it as a nature preserve. If you dare attempt you could not only run into a demon, but the police are sure to arrest you. Now in Scotland in the 1600s, a woman named Ange Sampson was living her life as a midwife and selling potions to locals who were in need, and she passed herself off as a healer to most people and was much beloved. But then the fleet of James the Sixth was almost all sunk. All the ships almost all perished during a storm. Now they deemed it at the time as an act of witchcraft. Miss Sampson was given up as a witch by one of the other women who was also deemed a witch, and upon her torture, she denied any such allegations. But they did see a birthmark on her and assumed that it came from the devil. Now, after further torturing sessions, she did confess that she did place a curse on the king, not only causing most of his ships to pass at sea, but also that made him infertile. Now, she told the king that she could prove her witchery because she recited to him verbatim what was said behind closed doors between he and his wife on their wedding night. And on January 28th, 1591, Miss Sampson was said to be burned at the stake. Now, she was burned at the stake at the palace, the Holy Rood's Palace, and to this day in Scotland, you could go there and people say that she materializes with scars all over her bodies and all over her body, and sometimes even burns. She'll materialize and then just disappear, leaving most people alone. Perhaps she's a witness. Now we move on to a woman named Janet Douglas. She was not a peasant. She was actually a noblewoman. Her stepfather had imprisoned King James V when he was a small child, so the family grudge led to her being accused as a witch when he came into power, and to tack on another charge for good measure to make sure that she would pay for being a witch, which she was not. He said that she also poisoned her husband a few years earlier. But in 1537, Miss Janet was burned at the stake and her son was made to watch. Now it says that she still haunts the Glymes Castle to this day in Scotland, and they've dubbed her the Lady in Grey because she appears as an apparition all in gray. I don't know, you might want to watch out for women named Janet. Treat them right, huh? That's it for now, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Stay brilliant, stay beautiful, and remember, stay curious.
So there we are. The lovely Caterina. So, you'll be surprised. I think everywhere's bloody well haunted, come to think of it. I know when we moved into this house, the guy who we bought it from had died here about 6 months previous. He was still hanging about here. And, he really wanted to make sure that we weren't going to turn his house upside down. And we didn't, because it would be pointless buying an old, it's like a Swiss Alps house, to turn it into something modern. What would be the point of doing that? You just buy something modern. So he was okay.
Yeah. Look at it this way, Mike. Right now on the planet, there's 8 billion people. So even if 1% of those stay as a ghost, that's still a hell of a lot of people just from this generation, just from this time, So that's still a hell of a lot of ghosts. So, there are a lot of ghosts around, I'd virtually say every house I've ever lived in was haunted because I am susceptible to picking it up. But, when I moved in here, we had a little boy here. He was scared of me. He'd just stick his head out from around like the fridge and doorways. My daughter saw him a lot. It was only about 2 years ago that we found out that he got murdered into my daughter's bedroom. Probably by his mother, and that's why he didn't like me at all. But he's not here now because the mail came here and had a chat with him and passed him over. So it's good that I don't see him anymore because now others have moved in. I joke all the time, Mike, that one, I'm so grateful that I wasn't born 200 years ago, or was I? Because I probably was burnt at the stake, and that's why I don't like fire. Or I actually think I was thrown in the lake with a rock around my head. If she floats, she's a witch, and if she doesn't come up, then she was a human.
Oops.
Oops. That one?
Yeah.
But yeah, they used to throw them in the lake, so I reckon that was me because I do have a fear of water. But, even now I say to people, we all should have one of those neon flashing lights, short-term accommodation on our doors because there are so many ghosts that do walk around.
Yeah.
And it's only because we're not susceptible and not tuned in, because of distractions with jobs and housework and looking after families and friends and doing whatever we do for hobbies, etc. takes up our time. So we just don't pay attention in that awareness to allow ourselves to tune into it.
Well, with the risk of repeating myself, I've lived in this house over 300 years and I haven't seen a damn thing. Talking of ghosts.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, talking of ghosts. Let's keep moving on, darling, because there is a story that I do want to talk about tonight.
Okay, this is the ghost in the lift and the other little ghost that's connected to this clip. So let's have a look at the lift ghost, so to speak. Here we go.
Yeah.
3 videos capturing on camera 3 astonishing moments. They've got the experts talking. Now see for yourself some of the most unsettling images on the web. The Raffles Hotel in Singapore. 4 security cameras survey the area around the elevator. In the bottom right, for a second, a light appears.
Did you hear that?
In the US, a man appears to have heard something in his house. In the corner, what looks like the figure of a child.
Right outside the door.
The man goes back for a second look.
There we are.
Interesting.
What do you reckon? Let's start with the lift ghost.
Well, I loved it right up until the point where he walked away and she was there behind him.
Yeah. But
You know, it looks fake.
yeah.
And I'll just go there because that's what a lot of people would say. It looks fake.
Yeah.
But is it fake? You know, unless you were there in the elevator and you saw it. Or, you know, I like that it's video footage, like security camera footage. But I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
I think it's tomfoolery. I think it's fake. Something as profound as this and as obvious as this, I would have thought would have provoked a lot of researchers into looking at this. And I don't see any of the paranormal researchers trying to break this down. I would have thought something like this would have made more news outside of the paranormal event pages. So I think this is pretty fake. And as you may have noticed, when the lift door opened, we saw on the back wall the light. They walk out. Presumably the lift door shuts and the back wall is dark again. So she's just going to walk through a wall. The other thing that I find a little bit strange is, you know, the typical ghost thing of the head down and walking like a zombie type of thing. So I think it's fake, but I wanted to put it up there because I think it's fake. Wonder what everyone else thinks of it.
Just because I think it's fake, but it doesn't mean it is fake.
No.
You know? One thing I really don't like with these videos is where they put that ding dong music.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's annoying. It really is annoying. Yeah. It takes away from what you're looking at.
Yeah. Probably deliberately.
You know, I don't know why they have to do that for. Yeah. You know, because it actually turns me off.
It should stand up on its own merit.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. So, that's right.
But what about the other one? Because that didn't look like a child to me in the first clip or the second clip.
In the second one, it actually looked like there was two people there, like a child in front of like an adult. So, you know,
should we have another look at that?
Yeah.
Let's have another look.
Just the second bit, honey, where he.
In the US, a man appears to have heard something in his house. In the corner, what looks like the figure of a child. The man goes back for a second look.
What do you think?
I'm just see, you can see now it's sort of like got arms coming out of it. Oh, Mike, you know, if I open my door and I saw that, I'd be standing there saying, hey, what's your name?
Yeah, I kind of would have as well, actually.
You know, because I've lost that fear, which, you know, obviously if it's the first time that you've ever had seen a ghost, it would freak you out, you know.
It kind of freaked me out, but I would still ask the question. You imagine opening the door and there's,
Well, I'll tell you what happened just here in my house the other night. Tashi and I are sitting in the lounge room or the living room. We're watching TV. Mary, the cat, is on the floor in front of us. And her yellow ball, she's got this yellow, it's like a tennis ball thing. It just came out of nowhere and started rolling across the floor. I sat there. Tashi said, oh, my God, Mum, look, there goes Mary's ball. It actually went and hit the back door. So it went about probably 15 feet, okay? And I just went back to watching TV. You know? Because it's, to me, it's just, oh yeah, what else can you do?
Yeah.
You know?
Is that all you got?
Because I'm used to it. Is that all you've got? Yeah. So Tashi said, oh, Mum, Mary's right here. And I just said, oh yeah, well, if there's somebody here, they'll do something else to let us know, or they'll make a noise or something. So the ball was not thrown at us, it rolled past us, but it was fast, it wasn't just a little roll. It was moving like quite quickly across the floor. But and it actually hit the back door, so it made a noise when it hit the glass door. But I'm used to this now, especially living in this house with all this activity, plus having Roy's house next door that was very, very active for 5 years, where I'd be sitting inside and you can hear the saucepans and stuff clanging in there, but there's nobody in there because I can see in the windows. So I'm used to it. Yeah. So I've got that. I'd say it's not a lack of empathy, but it's a lack of that emotional excitement of seeing something now, because I'm more rational and I respond to what I see. So obviously for somebody, you open the door and it's like, you close the door. Whereas I would be, open the door, hello, quick, get the camera, get another camera, get the EMF, get everything else out here. Well, we've got it here. So I wish that we had more time to actually see what it was and why it was there, because that's what I would have liked to have asked it. Why are you here? What questions do you want to ask? Because most ghosts who stay around, they have a lot of questions. Yeah. Okay. The first one that they usually say is, why doesn't everybody see me? Because they don't realize that they're dead, so they think people are rude, so so I would have loved the opportunity to have more time there with that one, as long as it didn't just come straight in my face and do the Ghostbusters thing where because that would have freaked me out a little bit. But, I would have just liked the time to have actually spent to communicate with it and find out why it hasn't transgressed on to heaven, if it was a humanoid, that is. Because we don't know what it was. It could have been a Yoda type thing, some entity from another planet or space-time continuum type thing. Yeah. And there could be a portal out there that we don't know about where things are just coming through all the time, but that's the first time someone's actually seen it. Yeah. But, so it could be a lot of different things.
I don't know how long this guy's lived in the house, but if you noticed, the hallway was pretty sparse. There's no pictures on the walls, no tables or chairs or a little desk with a bunch of flowers. So I don't know if he's just moved in or it's not entirely true that this is his house. But that looked very empty, that corridor that he was going through. And so
unless I actually thought that was a corridor to the front door. So he was opening up his front door, and that was the corridor, unit complex where you've got the communal corridors.
A little kitchen there. Let me just run that last.
Did you hear that?
In the US, a man appears to have heard something in his house. In the corner, what looks like the figure of a child.
Right outside the door.
The man goes back for a second look.
Yeah, a little bit weird.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'd be certainly just, crouching down so I'm its high so you're not threatening to it.
Yeah.
That's only animal psychology, always get lower than the animal that you talk to. So that they don't feel threatened, and just say, hey, what do you want?
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
I mean, it's interesting you talk about portals and stuff like that, because I put another post up on your Dr. Linda Kramer Paranormal about the Zanetti train. That
I watched that one.
Oh
yeah.
If any of you get to watch a pictorial documentary called The History of the Earth, it's part 1 and part 2. It's 8 hours long, and in fairness, it is a flat Earth documentary. This is what he's trying to express. It's flat Earth, but it gets involved in mud flood, Tarturian architecture. And he actually goes on to explain, if you look at the London Underground system, as many others, it looks like a motherboard of an electrical circuit.
Yeah.
And he's got a very good point. And when you've got all that energy on those trains, plus the natural magnetic frequencies, we shouldn't be surprised if something paranormal happens.
Yes.
I say this because of this could be an example of what happens with the Zanetti train and many other incidents like this, where they're using electric and metals and conductive material. So
yes, well, I just saw this thing. Anna Knapp, she's one of my moderators in my group. She she lives near the Michigan Lakes up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And the Michigan Lakes got a Bermuda Triangle in it.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
So there's a lot of Bermuda Triangle type situations around the world where we do have like an imbalance of the magnetism, where it could cause that distortion. Now I'm going to go scientific here. It causes that distortion in the what do you call them? Like the frequency airwaves, but it can create time slips where you go into different dimensions, and that's what I feel is happening there with the Zanetti train, where it is leaving our dimension and it's going into somewhere else, but then coming back into our dimension, but it's in different locations.
A bit of the Philadelphia experiment type of thing going on there.
All over again, yes. So I thoroughly believe it. We've had shows. We have had shows, Mike, where people go to a shop and they say, wow, I like this shop. So they go back to the same shop the next day and it's a totally different shop.
Yeah, different
and you find out that the shop they were at, it was there 20 years ago.
Yeah.
How do you explain this phenomena?
Yeah.
You honestly can't unless you go very, very deep scientific.
Yeah.
Whether it's string theory, whether it's just into quantum mechanics or some other sort of conscious distortion of electromagnetic frequencies out there, because that's what I'm trying. That's why my ghost book is taking so long to write, because I want to try and crack that science as to why this phenomena occurs. I've been to heaven. I've been back to earth. Where did I go and how did I get there? And then how did I teleport back to this existence of being why did I come back into this body? Why didn't I go into your body? Or why didn't I go into the body of my cat? So there is that connection there, which I'm trying to, I'm researching it every day, trying to write this book so it's an educational book based on science and psychology. Because it's more psychological for ghosts, whereas it's more scientific for spirits.
Well, there is a lot of science to it, Linda. Up in Finland, I've mentioned this before, they have the highest pro rata psychic people in Finland. The reason being the magnetic field is at its weakest of the whole planet there. And guess, I don't want to go there, but I've got to say it, but guess which country has got one of the highest rates for Finland? That's all I want to say. But the point is...
you wonder why. Because they want to dumb us down so we're not spiritual, darling.
Yeah. But that magnetic field is at its weakest. Therefore, people are able to communicate with the higher realms a lot better. Okay.
Of course.
Look,
all right. Next one. Where are we going to now?
Great one. Britney. Our lovely Britney Spears. And I've got a confession to make. I was sitting down many years ago watching the TV. And they showed a recorded concert of Britney Spears live. And I got to say, She was fantastic. Super athlete.
Yeah.
She was
I know.
absolutely
She
brilliant.
was absolutely gorgeous, darling.
Yeah.
You know?
So
And, well, yeah, we'll talk after.
we'll talk after.
Okay?
Let's
We'll talk
watch
after.
this
Yep.
because there's a lot of twist in this. So here we go.
Was previously owned by Britney Spears. On a recent podcast called We Need to Talk About Britney, Britney's former makeup artist joined the conversation. She said that while Britney was living in this home, she had some type of spiritual transformation, and she invited someone over who claimed to be a spiritual healer. But after the healer left, something didn't feel right to her. Britney said she thought the healer had opened some type of portal, and she claimed that there were evil spirits in her house trying to push her down the stairs. The situation must have scared her pretty badly because she left the home immediately when it happened and never returned. She then sold the house with everything inside to Britney Murphy. And as many of you probably already know, Britney Murphy died in that house under very suspicious circumstances, and her husband died 5 months after her in the same room that Britney died in. Take a listen.
It was so bad that she left. She went to the Casa del Mar Hotel to stay there and never went back to the house again. She put her house on the market, and guess who bought that house? Who? And died in it. Britney Murphy.
Yeah, too many coincidences there for my money. What do you think? Let's start with your views.
Okay. All right. I'm actually in my ghost book that I'm actually currently writing now, and I can't find it. So I'm going to have to just go from my memory, guys. When I'm breaking down the science of why ghosts and spirits exist. Now, I'm not trying to explain how they exist. I'm just saying how they exist in this three-dimensional world, like ghosts walking around and spirits coming in from heaven, right? So there is a point where I'm writing, which I couldn't just find. When we look at haunted cemeteries, there's a lot of cemeteries that are haunted. Yes, we'll go there. So what this scientific theory suggests, because it's all theories, is that through all the chemicals that they use in cemeteries, like formaldehyde for embalming bodies, the chemicals involved with the actual burial process, then you've got all the weed eaters and the roundups and stuff that they use on the actual lawns, so there's no weeds, etc. You've got this chemical reaction that can cause a hallucination within our brain. So this theory that I'm posing in my book, it's saying that when we have a paranormal experience, it's not so much a paranormal experience. It's like a hallucinogenic of all these chemicals making us feel things like paranoia. We have things like, being watched. We have that claustrophobia. We have that thing out of the corner of our eyes.
You're getting that confused with cocaine, Linda. But God, I told you I'm in a very cheeky mood today. Go on, carry on.
It's all good. So I'll just add to that what happened in the 80s stays in the 80s. Okay? And it's you guys be the judge of if she did or didn't. Okay. So let me just go there. We have a story where Britney Spears bought this house and she's seeing things. Is it a hallucination? Okay? It could be a hallucination based on the fact that not only did Britney Murphy also go into that house, but so did her husband Simon. Okay? So my theory, because I've got two theories here. One theory is it could be a ghost. Okay? It's scaring the absolute wits out of them to the point where two people died.
Yeah.
Because it is ironic, and you've got to remember there's no ironies in life. Why did those two people both die from not suicide? So they did die without their consent. Why did they both die in that room? Which is probably also the same room that Britney Spears would have slept in. Because, hello, it would have been like the master bedroom, okay? So let's just go there. One, we've got a ghost. It's not a nice ghost, so it's scaring them virtually to death. You know, if you watch The Ring, if you know what I'm talking about, okay? Where people do die, okay? So it could be something like that. But when we look at how Britney died and also her husband Simon, they both died of pneumonia.
Yeah.
And pneumonia, one of the big causes of that, is mold. So if this house had a mold situation, Britney Spears would have come in, and because of that hallucinogenicness being affected to her, she could have assumed that it was paranormal, whereas it was just her body being affected by the mold in the house, because Brittany Murphy and her husband Simon both died of pneumonia months apart in the same room that probably Britney Spears would have been sleeping in as well. Okay? So that's my theory here. Okay? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment in the comments.
Yeah, and well, I'm just got to go back on Facebook and get rid of this spammer. But my view on this is that there really is no coincidences. And here's another take on this, that people, I've spent too much time looking into the shenanigans of show business. And Britney Spears is clearly under an immense mind control program.
Absolutely.
This is what the shaving of the head was about. She was trying to break free from this mind control program. So
yes,
two things: she's either very sensitive to the spirit world, or you know, the world that she lives in is really quite dark. The whole music industry is
I could not fathom. You know, I was watching the documentary on her, and even her phone was tapped.
Yeah.
So even when she had a phone call from a friend, her family were listening into those conversations.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that paranoia. Yeah. You know, it would have been horrendous for her to put on some sort of glittery costume, get up on stage in front of 50,000 strangers and say, oh, my God, look at me, I'm so good today, and then go home to where she was mentally abused for so long. Yeah. You know, it would have been a horrendous story that she went through. You know, I don't know how she came out of this with her sanity or her life.
Yeah.
You know, because so many others would have just taken that sub-clause out of that life contract, you know, and gone back home to start again.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel for the girl. You know, I'd love to say this is paranormal. I really would, because there's so many ghosts around, as we said earlier.
Yeah.
You know, but knowing that Britney Murphy and her husband Simon both died of pneumonia in that house, that gives me a suggestion that there's something else going on that wasn't paranormal.
Yeah.
You know, ghosts don't generally cause pneumonia. You know,
no,
they don't.
Not to my knowledge, you know? Anyway.
So I'm still going to stick with my pause and mold story. You know, because Britney Spears was very what was the call? You know, you can't call her gullible, you know, but she was just under so much control.
Actually, she's another one that's got one of the highest IQs amongst people. I'm told. I haven't verified that. You know, along with Marilyn
she's
Monroe.
probably up around my level.
Yeah, I've just been told that she's got a very high IQ. No, it's this mind control, like Mariah Carey, immense mind control. And if anyone cares to do a little bit of research, there's the Elvis Costello song, I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea. A lot of people think this is about the district of Chelsea in London, but it isn't. It's about the Hotel Chelsea in America somewhere. And if you find out the amount of deaths of showbiz people in the Chelsea Hotel, and if you look at who stayed at the hotel, who didn't die, but people died in their house that also stayed in the it's just mind-boggling for it not to be anything other than rituals or something along this line, because you get involved in Laurel Canyon, what goes on in Laurel Canyon. It's just amazing how actually tight they got this showbiz people all in. But
Yeah.
anyway, so it's,
It,
and we look at poor old
it's
Celine Dion. She looks like death warmed up, as for many, many years, immense mind control she's under there. So yes, you're vulnerable to spirit. You're vulnerable
of course you
to
are.
those lower energies. And we
Yes.
don't know either, Linda, if the house that this was built on was a burial ground or something nasty happened there, and so on and so forth.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing, You know, just because my house is here when I moved in doesn't mean that it was here 100 years ago.
No.
The house I live in now, it was only built in the 1980s.
Yeah.
The land here under my feet has been here for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years.
Yeah.
So who has actually walked on this exact same land? Who died here? Who did rituals here over that duration of period of time?
Yeah.
So it is hard to ascertain actually what does go on one specific house, unless you can say someone like Charles Manson lived there, and did this, or Alistair McCrawley, Alistair Crawley or whatever his name was. Crowley, that's him. Because then we can blame that person for what happened in the house. But, when we've got houses being built on vacant land, but it doesn't mean it's always been vacant.
No.
So there's a lot of possibilities here with Britney Spears' house.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different avenues there.
Yeah.
But even when you say, okay, it's mold, even if you say, oh, it's pneumonia, even if you said the ghost in the hallway type thing, they all actually come under paranormal. Because of that effect, the paranoia, the claustrophobia, the being pulled down into lower vibrations, which they all had. You look at Brittany Murphy's life. She made that one movie with Silverman. What was her name? Clueless. I think she was in Clueless. After that, her career sort of just went like the coyote over the cliff, unfortunately, with the Roadrunner after her. But, so she did go through a lot of mental anguish.
Yeah.
And her husband, we can't say that he was a perfect person. He had a lot of struggles himself.
Yeah.
But they both didn't die of suicide. It wasn't drug overdoses.
No.
It was pneumonia that they died, because I've researched it this week, which is very, very interesting.
And she had iron deficiency as well.
That's right. Yes. So that's another thing. So how did they get iron deficiency?
Well, I do know when we do table tipping with the group, I always make sure that they have something sweet like a juice or something to put the sugar back in their body.
No. It's called chocolate.
As well.
It's called chocolate.
It's called Nutella.
No, Lindt chocolate.
Well, look, before we move on, because we got some more uplifting stuff here. Tanya makes some very good points. She talks about the 27 Club. Yes, I have researched the 27 Club. It's a fascinating thing. Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain. I've got a clip of EVP of Kurt Cobain. Maybe we'll put that up next time. So so many rock stars have joined the 27 Club. Paul McCartney. Sorry, I won't go into that bit. Just, but yes.
You mean the original one?
There's only one Paul McCartney, and 26 is all I'm saying. But anyway, so what's this sweetness do? Sack Reed says. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, when you're doing your table tipping, darling, you want them to have something sweet before they do their table tipping. What does it do?
Yeah, it puts the energy back into you, because when you do table tipping, it can, because they're using your energy, and it can take a lot of the sugar and stuff out of you. So
it's like Red Bull. It gives you wings, does it?
Kind of. The old table went ballistic yesterday doing some healing for somebody. As soon as I get this stuff, she's recorded it. As soon as she sends it, I'll just edit it and put it up. But look, let's move on to something uplifting.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
Yes, you get drained. I actually don't anymore, Tanya. I've learned how to develop it, but I still make sure I've got juice. Just because I don't get drained, it doesn't mean it's coming out
Yeah.
of my body. But anyway, so look, this is a visitation. I'll just give you a quick heads up. This is the story of a guy who died and appeared 4 times. I believe it's the same night to family members in a dream. And what come from this is a beautiful story. So here we go.
Let's go there.
Shortly after the death of Police Chief Victor Puskas Sr., his daughter-in-law Beth began having a series of strange dreams. In one, she was attacked by a bee, and the next day she was actually stung for the first time in her life. And in another, she dreamt that she saw her dead father-in-law playing with a young and unfamiliar child. Victor Sr. was never able to keep a secret. Was he sending Beth a message? Was this dream a premonition of something to come? That afternoon, Beth and Victor paid a visit to his mother. But before Beth could tell her about her mysterious dream, Barbara had a surprise of her own. She had also had a dream about Victor Sr., one that would shock both Beth and Vic Jr.
Had this dream, and in my dream, Beth and I went together. That was how it all started. He was playing with this child. The child was sitting on his lap, and he was bouncing her on his knee, and he was laughing. They were both laughing. They were just having the best time. And I said to Beth, "Who's that child? I've never seen that child before."
Immediately, the hair stood up on the back of my neck. It just shocked me. The dream itself wasn't as remarkable as the fact that they both had the same dream on the same night.
And yet, both dreams contained such specific similarities that it was impossible to write this off as a coincidence. In each dream, the same 4 people were present. In each dream, Victor Sr. was playing with a little girl with dark hair, laughing and bouncing her on his knee. And in each dream, Beth was held back, unable to recognize or reach the child. A few weeks later, on her birthday, Beth discovered the possible meaning of these 2 remarkable dreams.
I was pretty sure I was pregnant, and when I went to the doctor and had the test and it turned out positive, we were very excited.
Oh, I'm so happy. I know.
The first thing I felt was elation, but it was also followed up by conviction that she was pregnant with a little girl. That all of this could not have been just coincidence.
On May 31st, 1995, Beth gave birth to a beautiful baby girl with dark, straight hair and a familiar smile.
And when Michaela was born and I took one look at her in the hospital, I said, "This is the one I dreamed about." And it was. And when she laughs and throws her head back, yes, that is the child. There's no question in my mind.
It was like a miracle. I mean, all births of children, I believe, are miracles, but this was even more special because we were shown this little girl by Vic's dad. We got to see her playing with him.
Did Victor Sr. send a message from beyond the grave? And was it somehow connected to Beth's first dream?
To me, the first dream about the bee sting was God's way of saying, pay attention. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to give you a gift that you need to take note of.
The significance for me of the dreams was that any sadness I may have possessed about my dad never having been able to play with my children passed away. My dad has already played with my daughter before I even got a chance to see her in real life. I believe in guardian angels. I believe that people who die watch over the people they love. And I'd like to think that this dream has changed me to make me realize for absolute certain that my dad's still with us.
And still unable to keep a secret.
He never could keep a secret, and he still can't keep one. He still has to tell everybody ahead of time that there's going to be another baby, and that would be his joke on us. I know something you don't know.
Yeah, kind of similar to the Linda Gray
Linda
story.
Gray.
Yeah.
Linda Gray.
Yeah.
What a good name she has, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm a poet and I know it. Linda Gray. What a great name, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. You know, we do have these little life paths that we do get destined to stay on. And
Yeah.
do we actually get that glimmer of what is to come in our future, like a deja vu? You know, we talk about time slips. We talk about transmutation of energies. We're talking about conscious awareness. We're talking vortexes and loopholes, and you know, they're all possible, Mike. You know, but these synchronicities that we get to go on these shows, you can't dispute.
No.
You know, it's too irregular to dispute as just something that's coincidental.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, whenever I talk to people in readings and they say, oh, you know, I wish that my mum, per se, would give me a sign, I always say to them, ask for something so left field, something that you would never see, because then when you see it, you know that it is from them. You know, I even said to a lady the other week, I said, ask for a pink elephant flying, you know. So I got an email from her and she said, oh, my God, this bus went past, and right on the side of it, the advertising was this big pig flying through the air with wings on it.
Yeah.
She said, how, why, why, how does it work?
Yeah.
Because that's your message, you know, that they do come through to us. So it's gorgeous, gorgeous story.
I'm kind of laughing because if I was to say that to my mother, send me a message, Mum, I know she'd kind of say, well, what's the point? You never listened to me when I was on the earth in the first place. But
you are in a cheeky mood tonight.
So but you know, she's around. I've actually had my father around. He still comes to me because I smell the cigarettes. That's how he presents himself to me.
Well, that's like, I've got a ghost here called Terry. I know when he's around because he used to smoke drum cigarettes back in the 70s. You know, the poor dear died of emphysema. So, you know, but he jokes around a lot, and, you know, who knows who was moving that yellow ball the other night, you know, because I've got a few ghosts in this house that could have done that. But, you know, it is good that when we do get our signs, you know, so guys, all you got to do is give them consent. You know, hey, Mum, I give you consent to come back and give me a sign.
Yeah.
You know, if you can, show me a red butterfly or something, you know, something that you don't normally see. So then when you do see it, you know it is their message.
Now
okay?
This is a fun one here. Melinda says, I asked my friend who just passed to give me a sign. 3 a.m. in the morning, smoke alarm went off. Laugh out loud, her sense of humour.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's great about it. You know, especially electrical devices, they love them. You know, so ask them to flick your clock or turn off a light or, you know, they can start your kettle for you. You know, you'll be in the bedroom and you hear, what's that noise? And your kettle's going. And you think, how did they push the button on the kettle? You know, don't ask that question. It's just the fact that they're letting you know they're around.
The answer to that is watch the movie Ghost, and he'll show you exactly how it's done.
And I love how you said that, because I love referring it back to the movies, because that was actually true.
Yeah.
You know, that where the ghost on the train station is saying, you can't move the can because you don't have a body. You've got to feel it because it's in motion.
Yeah.
Okay? Yep. So, Mike, we'd better get on to our next video because we've still got a few to go.
This is the NDE of Mark Macdonough. Another fascinating one indeed. I actually quite like this one. We've had similar ones to this before, but this has its own unique twist. So here we go.
Yeah.
My dad was out of town on business, and he had flown to San Francisco for that. When he left, he said, take care of your mom and your brother's chum, and we'll get to those smoke detectors as soon as I get back. We had tried to install some smoke detectors the night before and didn't have the right batteries for them. So it was quite ironic that I came home from visiting some friends that night, had a glass of milk, turned in as I normally would, and then woke an hour later to intense heat and a bright orange flickering light.
The flames were already closing in on Mark. but he wasn't stunned by shock. Immediately, he jumped into action. Firemen showed up when Mark only had a 20% chance of survival. Mark's mother and youngest brother were not as fortunate.
From the moment I regained consciousness on the way to the hospital in the ambulance, I could hear and knew something terrible was happening. I was in an incredible amount of pain. Having been raised in a Christian and Catholic family, I honestly prayed that God would take my life. I was in so much pain and so afraid and overwhelmed with reality. And I just kept saying, please, Jesus, take me in your arms.
Still unsure if his mother and brother had made it outside alive, Mark had been pushed to his limits of pain from the burns, fear, and uncertainty.
And I kept praying that God would end it in any way possible. And I was just so afraid that my parents, or my mother and brother, hadn't made it out. And then what would my dad hear? And he's in San Francisco, and just an overwhelming set of realities that came down on me at one time.
Nobody could have prepared for what happened next. Mark certainly had not.
On the table for the first surgery of many, as the anesthesiologist put me to sleep and said, count back from 100, I did, and then I heard doctors talking, and then I could feel pain in my stomach and my arms, and someone lifted my arm off the table, let it drop to the side, and blood was dripping down off my arm. I realized I was awake, and they had started surgery, and that, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to feel anything. The only thing that I'd been looking forward to for 10 days was that you would be put to sleep and I wouldn't have to feel the pain. The doctors became concerned too and said, we're losing copious amounts of blood. Let's hold up, figure out what's going on here. And that was an overwhelming fear that I couldn't move a muscle and communicate to them that I'm feeling this because I was under a medically induced paralysis. So the drugs were keeping me from even being able to blink an eye. And I'm starting to say, guys, I'm feeling everything you're doing. And I could feel this scraping down my abdomen and around my flanks and the blood dripping down off the table and praying, dear Jesus, please take me, take me, take me, take me. And then all of a sudden, I was pain-free, as if I was floating above my body. It would be in a position like in a lazy boy recliner, with my knees partly flexed, my arms resting at the sides, and I'm just sort of hovering. And I could feel this gentle, warm light come over me. And it was sort of like lying on the beach with your eyes closed. You can feel the warmth and the softness and you can see the light through your lids, but it was very bright and very warm, and a feeling of love and forgiveness and tolerance and euphoria.
Mark felt the presence of his mother and brother, also his grandfather who had passed away when he was at the age of 1.
And I just felt this total sense of peace, that everything was exactly as it should be. Everything always has been as it should be, is, and always will be. It's a perfectly orchestrated plan of God's. And I just started laughing to myself, just so happy and euphoric, not about any one particular thing, but certain that God is with me and my prayers are being answered. But then there was this sudden awareness that, not yet. I could see in my mind this gentle slope toward the brightness and the light and the warmth, and it was floating toward that direction, but also knowing that somewhere out there is another side I won't return from yet, but it's not my time. It wasn't a decision I made or God made. It was like there was a board meeting and it was understood. This wasn't yet my time to be with God, although I was with him. There was going to be some pain and a lot of surgeries to recover from. I had that knowledge that soon in the injury that this was going to be a big recovery. Well, even when I woke, I did have a certain awareness that it was supposed to be. That just go with the flow, ride this ride, and trust your God. But yet I was afraid. I did feel like I had a partner in my recovery, but it was not necessarily a completely synchronized relationship, and there was some contention and some anger. Mm-hmm. Years later I realized it was anger, but I felt abandoned in the moment. Now my mom's gone, and my poor father, I was so heartbroken for the pain he must be suffering, having lost a child and a wife, and his oldest son is in critical condition. So I thought recovery was possible maybe at that point, But I sure didn't know how I was going to find the strength to do what had to be done.
After recovery, Mark had gone on to pursue a career as a reconstructive plastic surgeon to help those who had shared in his suffering. That's it for today's video. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, as that helps us get more of these stories out in this format for more interested viewers.
So there we are. Beautiful story. Interesting how he ends up doing a job that is relevant to how he ended up having an NDE. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's
if someone had said to me in 2000, well, the year 2000, if someone said to me, Linda, you're going to be out there telling people what heaven's like, I would have laughed at them until I had my own, you know. Yeah. But I whenever I do watch these NDE stories, I look for similarities to my own. Yeah. So then I can say, yep, this guy's speaking the truth. Yeah. And the line that this guy said that I really did like, he said, it was like a board meeting where it was all understood. Yeah. I loved that, you know, because let me just grab my book so I can show you the picture.
Okay.
This one. Here I am, and I'm in front of the big tree when I'm doing my life review. It was like a board meeting where we all knew what was going to be happening, but we didn't have to discuss it because we all just knew. Yeah. You know, it was just understood. Yeah. You know, everything was known. There was that total comprehension of knowing what the board meeting was about. Yeah. You know, so yeah, that's why you know, I love that line that, you know, I like just picking out one or two lines, and that was the best one that I liked in that whole bit. You know, not that it wasn't a great story, because it was. Right. You know, very, very traumatic story. Yeah. But you know, it's sad. But to come out of it and to actually give that hope to other people, you know, that's the message. That's what they, you know, they don't look to us to do work where we make enough money to live in the high life with the helicopter pad out the back and the, you know, the 50-meter swimming pool under the house, you know. They don't do it for that. They do it for what work we do for them, you know. Do we create that generosity, kindness, forgiveness, understanding, compassion, and love in others? You know, so it's amazing what he's now doing. You know, so he can give people that. Oh, someone's like that. They're giving us heaps and heaps of loves. Oh, super. Okay.
And this seems an appropriate time to ask anybody to share their experience, a near-death experience, or even an out-of-the-body experience where you didn't actually die, but you had an out-of-body experience, a deathbed vision, a shared death vision, that you experienced the same vision as somebody who was in the process of passing. Any of these stories that can inspire and support people that are going through a difficult time or just want to know what the hell is life all about. So we'd love to hear from you, genuinely. So just PM either myself or Linda. And,
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we can do about it.
We'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So we better have a look at our next one. Are we going over to the animal communicator?
No, that's the last one. We're going to go over to...
Oh, just spoiler alert. We're saving the best till last. Okay.
We're going to look at the guy who was told not to get on the plane. And it's not for reasons that you might think. And this gives a different aspect, because of the region in the world where he lives. It gives a different perspective on how we see dark energies, if you like, and light energies. We'll talk about it after, because I don't want to spoil the thing. Yep. So here we go.
All right, let's go and have a look.
In May 2015, I was in the Republic of Zambia, where coincidentally I was born in that same country, when a dear friend of mine, an American-born missionary who's got a great church in Zimbabwe, Dr. Tom Dushel, asked me to fly to Zimbabwe and do a conference for him. I said yes, I was going to come and do it. The day I was to leave for Zimbabwe, a friend of mine, an apostle in the Republic of Zambia, came and gave me a ride to the airport, which was not a long ride. It was only 45 minutes. But to be 45 minutes, I would completely change my life. We got in the car, we began to drive to the airport. Halfway to the airport, I knew something was wrong. I was beginning to become deathly sick with no reasonable explanation. And what was even worse, my body, the sensation of my body was such that I was feeling like a way a man would feel if half of your body is buried in sand. I could feel the sensation of dirt from my feet all the way to my waist. Okay, I'm in trouble. This is different. This is a real demonic attack. And I told my friend, I said, I'm under a serious demonic attack. I feel like I'm going to pass out. I feel like I'm slowly being buried alive. Those are the words I used. I feel like I'm being slowly buried alive. And I told him, I said, man of God, I know you're a man of prayer. Please pray with me. So for the next 20 minutes, we were praying all the way, doing spiritual warfare, all the way to the airport. It just got worse. When I got to the airport, I was so weak. My friend told me, do you really want to get on the plane? I said, I gotta go. But in my mind, I'm thinking, maybe these are territorial spirits that operate in this nation. And if I can just get into Zimbabwe airspace, get out of this country, this demonic attack is going to stop. That's my thinking. They could see I was walking very, very slowly. Literally, I was walking like a 90-year-old man. Very, very, very labored steps, breathing heavily. So finally, I saw the airplane on the tarmac, and they were waving for me because they wanted to close the plane. When I looked at the plane, I heard the audible voice of the Holy Spirit. He said to me, Francis, if you get on this plane, you will die. And in a split second, I had a vision of myself dead on the plane. He said to me, do not get on this plane. A demonic device, a demonic attack is on your body, and you must break it in this nation before you can get on the plane. But I'm going to walk you through this. Immediately, I told the security man, tell them to get my bags off the plane. I'm not going to get on the plane, and also please call for the ambulance. The nurse that was on duty really got frightened because my blood sugar numbers were already in a coma stage range. She was like looking at the cops. She couldn't believe it. So she panicked. She didn't know what to do. She began to get medication to try to bring this down. And while I'm lying on the hospital bed, the Holy Spirit says to me, let her do her job, but focus on what I'm telling you. You are in the deepest warfare of your life, but I'm going to get you through it. Finally, they rushed me to a bigger hospital because they couldn't handle me there. They took me to the St. John's Medical Center in Lusaka, Zambia. And that night, one of my brothers by the name of Stephen, who is an actual worship leader in our family, came to spend the night with me because I was so weak I couldn't even go to the restroom by myself. Then something supernatural happened. Something real supernatural happened. A friend of mine from America, who was a prophet, calls me about around midnight, and he tells me, I had a vision, and he said that you are being attacked by witchcraft. And then he went on to describe the witch that had actually released this thing against me, and actually described how she was dressed. And I remember her at my mother's funeral, because that's why I had gone to Zambia for my mother's funeral. And he described her without ever seeing her out of California, what he saw. And we began to pray, and then the spirit of witchcraft began to break over my life. Then after he was off the phone, I told my brother, let's do like Paul and Silas. Let's begin to praise the Lord. So we began to praise the Lord and sing to the Lord. Then all of a sudden the Holy Spirit spoke with an audible voice the second time. He said to me, Francis, I want to get up, go outside into the hospital yard. I want to show you something. I want to bring you full deliverance. So I told my brother, let's get into the hospital yard. It's around 2 in the morning. I said, he didn't understand what I was doing, but we went outside. I didn't even understand it myself. We go in the hospital yard, and the Holy Spirit said to me, Francis, I want you to go to the flower bed. I said, flower bed? I said, go to the flower bed. So I with my arm around my brother, because I couldn't hardly walk, he took me to the flower bed. I got to the flower bed, and the Holy Spirit said to me, I want you to take dirt. I said, dirt? Yeah, pick up the dirt. And I picked up the dirt. And he said to me, I want you to prophesy to the dirt of the Republic of Zambia. Speak to the dirt, speak to the land to let you go. I said, why? He said, because the witches that are trying to kill you, they use their dominion over the dirt to try to kill you. But he said to me, but son, do you know that you have a higher dominion over the land and over the soil than they do, because you are the redeemed of the Lord. Prophesy to the dirt and you are going to be free. And I took the dirt and I began to prophesy, and I spoke to the soil. I say, hear the word of the Lord. I'm a man of God. I'm based in America. God who has a purpose for my life. This is not my time to die. And I said to the dirt, I command you to loose me, and I break the witchcraft that was released against me using the soil. In that instant, the power of God went through my body, from my toes all the way to my head. By the time the power of God got to my head, instantly I felt energy like never before, and the sensation of being buried alive that I was feeling, I felt the dirt fall down, and instantly I knew I was delivered.
Yeah, so you're looking, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm doing 16 things at once here on the computer.
Yeah.
Sorry, darling.
No, that's okay.
In depth.
It's just interesting, his perception of it from his spiritual upbringing and from that part of the world. And actually, it doesn't matter. It's the belief, the end result that counts. So no matter how it's perceived, the fact is that it was dealt with. And that was brilliant.
One thing that I do get asked a lot is, I think I've been cursed. Linda, can you take it off me? And the response that I give to everybody is, it's only the person who thinks that they're cursed can release themselves from it. I can't do anything. No. So this guy, by going out onto the dirt and having that release, he has actually taken that authority or control over whatever curse is on him. Okay?
Agreed,
you know, and you look at people who get cursed, they're very weak-minded people. Yeah. Or they're in a lower vibrational state.
At that
where
present time,
where they're more easily able to be like possessed by that curse. Okay? So if you do think that you have a curse on you guys, all you've got to do is take that authority and say, I do not consent.
Yeah.
I do not consent. I give you no power. I give you no control. So you know how many people out there always say, oh, my God, my life is cursed. I never win any money. I'm always having bad things happening.
Yeah.
The more we say that, the more we're creating more bad things to happen in our future.
Yeah.
So you sit there and you say, I'm now taking control of all this bad stuff. You are now gone. I do not give you consent now to attach to my future.
Yeah.
My future is going to be lucky. My future is bright. Because then you're taking control of that authority over that curse.
Yeah.
Whether it is imposed by somebody else or we've created it ourselves. Okay?
Yeah.
Because that is something that does happen a lot. We do create these own curses on ourselves, you know?
I mean, my sort of take on this is spells or witchcraft, if you like, is easier to give to somebody because the energy here is denser. It's lower. And if that person is in a lower frame of mind, a lower state of consciousness, then it's easy to get that attachment to the person. And this is why manifestation can take a bit longer, because it's of a higher vibration. And we have to try and lift to that high vibration. But you're absolutely right. If you just say, no, I do not consent to this. I am sovereign.
That's the word, sovereign. I love it.
That generally does the job. So anyway, look, you know what? We've just got time for Lydia Hiby, the animal communicator.
Yes. Oh my God, she's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
She really is.
Yeah, I mean, this really doesn't represent her at her best, but I think we get the general idea of what she's capable of. Here we go.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you'd like to ask her or know from her?
Well, I would like to know, what does she remember of her earlier life? Where did she come from?
She said she was a show horse a long time ago, and so she likes the cheering of the crowd. So if she hears people cheering in the park across the way, she kind of gets excited about that, so she likes that. You know, people kind of came in and out of her life, and they didn't really get connected to her, and she said, I was valuable as an animal to be ridden, but not having a relationship with somebody. And then she said towards the end, nobody really cared for her after a while then. She said, I got really depressed. And like the first couple days you got her, she said she was in shell shock. Like, wow, I get this whole huge place and this, and she said you were fluffing her bed like, look, it's fluffy.
Well, I wanted her to be comfortable.
I know. She said, well, that's so nice. No one ever did that for me before. I never had a fluffy bed. She said also she likes when people take her picture.
Oh, really? You like to have your picture taken?
Yeah, she said somebody came up and wanted to take her picture. So she said, I posed for a minute, they took the picture, and then I went back to eating. And she said, even at my age, I can gate out pretty good out there. So is she giving you a run for your money?
She has a couple of times, yes. I thought that she was so old that all she'd want to do is walk. But she was like, no, I can gate, you know, and then I'm running as fast as I can, and she's just gliding along next to me. I never thought I'd see her do that.
And she said she passed a couple other horses, too. She said, I showed them I could beat them.
Yes.
And she wakes up every day and says, oh, I'm still Liz's horse. That's very nice. So she's very grateful.
That's very
good. And, you know, a lot of people ask me, they don't know how long they're going to live, but they really enjoy every day. And she said she very much appreciates being pampered and fussed over, so she said it's all good. She likes when you come and tell her how your day is going. She said that's really, really important. And she said this is her retirement home. And she likes being retired. She said it's...
I do love horses. Incidentally, my name Cavalli is Italian for horses. I do have this affinity
And
with them.
I can go one better than that, Mike.
Go on.
I was born in 1966, so I'm in the year of the horse, and look at my mane.
Yes.
You know, I love my mane. I really do. I love my mane.
Yeah. I've kind of got one. I'm sort of hiding it all a little bit, but
I sit here and do my own corsage in it, you know, where you braid little bits and you get chunks of it and do other stuff with it, you know, put little ribbons through it. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Anyway, I'm having that visual again.
So, well, I'll tell you what.
It's getting late for me. Oh,
Linda.
God, you know, what a great show we've had again tonight, Mike. You know, we didn't get booted, so that's always a plus, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, so, you know, when we talk to animals, you know, I don't get the information like she does. You know, she's an absolute gem. I love the way that she was saying all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I get more of like an emotion from animals.
Yeah.
It's like being scared, having trauma. They loved, you know, I get all that because I'm an empath, so animals and me work well together. Yeah. But, you know, animal spirits, on the other hand, when they come through and they actually speak English to me, which I don't understand that one. You know, a dog can be sitting there talking English at me. Oh, yeah, tell her that I love my red ball. And I'm like, what is going on here? You know, so I had to get used to that one when it first started. But, you know, what an amazing job she is doing.
Yeah.
You know, and the confirmations, like, you know, you go and see an animal in a stable, you don't know what their history has been. You know, it could have been brought up there and now it's going through the worst part of its life. Yeah. You know, but for her to say that horse had been in other places and, you know, it appreciates now that this woman's looking after it. Yeah. Wow, that is just so beautiful.
There's a few animal communicators and people looking after horses and doing healing, or animals and doing healing. There's this girl. There's a girl I had a chat with once, Terry Allen, I think her name is. She's out in Vegas. There's the girl in South Africa, Anna Beckenbayer, I think her name is, you know, really communicates with. We run this story once about the leopard who they gave him the name Diablo, and he didn't like it, and that's why he was always aggressive. And then there's obviously Candy Cane Cooper, who we showed her work here on the show once or twice. I think the communication between animals and actually all other life forms is becoming more synchronized for those who want to listen. So,
and people say, how do these people get into doing this sort of work?
Yeah.
Did she actually just say to herself, right, I'm going to start talking to horses and other animals, or was she just out there patting a horse and she got it all?
Yeah.
And I think the latter is how these things work. So, guys, if you do want some sort of ability or gift, please know all you've got to do is ask for them. Because once we give ourselves that consent, that's when magic happens.
And try it.
And try it,
Yeah. It might not be for you after you've tried it, but you've got to try something. There's no time limit to any of this. You'll eventually find what you want to do by trial and error. So,
that's exactly right. And I always say, don't just ask for like a huge amount of it at first. Ask for little bits first.
Yeah.
I want to start seeing ghosts, but don't scare me. Put the clauses in there.
Yeah.
Because, when we learn to surf, we don't go out on a tsunami to learn how to surf. We always stand in the shallows and get our balance, right?
Yeah.
So, the same as any sort of gifts, so I'll just use seeing ghosts because that's something that a lot of people want to see. So you ask to, something that's not going to scare you, So it's just, you get used to it instead of a ghost just coming straight up in your face.
And
which
of course,
isn't nice.
Be careful what you ask for because you may end up getting it.
Absolutely.
So be absolutely sure. Yeah.
And that's why we're here to encourage and support, to let you all know that there is something bigger and better out there than this just three-dimensional world with all the authoritative mandates that are going on. Keep your head high, guys. Keep your head in love of the moment.
I've got a little visitor. Can you see him? Look.
Oh, look at him. Isn't he a little cutie? We have them here in Australia too. We call them stink bugs.
Yeah. I have to get rid of him because my cats will find him highly amusing. So
now, when you say get rid of him, you don't mean down the toilet. You mean
never,
outside,
never,
right?
Never. I'll bring him back out to nature.
Good.
I don't tread on insects, and
neither do I.
Don't do any of that.
I've got a Tupperware container with a clipboard, so we go around the house catching flies because I don't even like using fly spray on flies. Because hello, they all are human. They're not. They're all conscious awareness beings.
Yeah.
And flies do exist in heaven because hello, I saw them up there.
Well, Linda, I've got this philosophy, and that is, with regard to this little chap here, wherever he is.
He's on your paper, I can see him.
I won't tread on him and do him any harm for many, many reasons. But if there's one reason that I hope one day, if I find myself in the wrong place at the wrong time, someone will show that same kind of restraint and compassion with me.
And that is the beauty and the magic of doing the right thing, Mike.
Yeah.
Because when you emit, you always get it back.
Right. Yeah.
So the more that we're kind and generous, and we don't do it just for that reward.
No.
Because that's always the wrong way.
No.
But when we do something just out of the beauty of our heart, being kind to somebody like that little bug, that we do get it back.
Yeah.
It does come back to us.
In terms of how the universe works, which sometimes appears quite cold, it's an energy exchange. As you give, you receive. As you receive, you get.
Absolutely.
And so don't be surprised if you go boom on that thing that somebody comes around and smashes you, maybe verbally.
That's right. Or you'll have a car accident, or you'll be walking down the street and you trip over and sprain your ankle.
Yeah.
Or, a lot of things could happen. Your toaster will break down, so you've got to go buy, so it's that energy associated to it. So it's not always just A equals A. It's not always the same thing that comes back. It's always that ripple of the energies.
Yeah.
So spread your kindness, guys. I said to a lady the other day, I was talking to her, and I said, go out today and make it your mission to be nice to 3 people.
Yeah.
That could be extremely hard for some people. Look at him.
Oop, there
I know, he's coming up your finger now.
There he is.
Yeah, they're the same bugs we get here in Australia.
Lovely little soul. You're not going
like
under my
me.
jumper.
I sit there and I admire them too, Mike.
Beautiful.
I love sitting there and admiring the little bugs when they come on me.
Yeah.
So guys, make it a mission to go out there for 3 people and be nice. It could be a smile. It could be just saying, hey, I hope you have a nice day today.
Yeah.
It could be that simple g'day, like we do here in Australia.
G'day. G'day.
How are you today?
You want a tinny?
How are you today?
I'm going down the botlow to get me a tinny, mate.
Oh,
I'm still learning.
my-
Apart from my German, I'm learning Australian.
And for that sort of slang, I've got to admit, darling, you dress for the part as well. You know, so every Australian watching this is going to laugh at what I just meant then, okay?
Oh, good. We got to laugh.
All right.
We got to laugh.
Well, on that note,
Yeah.
we had better let you go.
Yep.
So you can go and enjoy your day. I've got to go and make my chamomile tea so I can go to bed because it's now 20 to 9 p.m. here at night. So that means it's 20 to 1 for you. Have I got the time right for
20
a change?
to 12.
Oh, 20 to 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done. You go and enjoy your gorgeous cold day over there, and I'll go and enjoy my lovely hot night.
Yeah, I think all the snow's disappeared. Almost.
Oh, darling. Well, I'm sitting here.
I'm going to go
I've got this,
chopping some wood and singing the lumberjack song from Monty Python. Because I've got my shirt on.
I know. Well, that's actually what I was referring to when you said you're going to sit back and drink a tinny, darling. You know?
Okie
Love
doke.
you.
Radio,
Oh, darling.
everyone.
All right, guys.
Gotta
Have
dash.
a great week wherever
Yep.
you are. Mwah, mwah, mwah. See you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.